So today I woke up to an amazing email from Discover saying that my credit line has been increased. I've had this card for years and it's just stayed the same. No credit increase, everything's good, my credit score is fine. It was just stagnant. In the past 8 months, I've totally changed my perspective on money. And I really think that that's what's helped me to not only make more money, but actually enjoying my life for the first time. And it seems like a very long time. And I really think it's because I've developed an abundance mindset rather than a scarcity mindset. So in today's video, we're going to be talking about how to get over having a scarcity mindset and how to create an abundance mindset and honestly change your life for the better. So with all that being said, let's get into how to change a scarcity mindset into an abundance mindset. For as long as I can remember, up until the last 8 months, I've had a scarcity mindset. Whenever an unexpected bill would come up, it would be enough to throw me in a panic and completely ruin the rest of my day. If I was out and I wanted something really badly, I would either talk myself out of it or have buyer's remorse after purchasing it. These are perfect examples of what a scarcity mindset is like. And it's really important to not just recognize when you have a scarcity mindset, but also to try to fix it because it can have a drastic impact on your life in ways that you may not have recognized before. Having a scarcity mindset can hold you back from unlocking your true potential and creating the money that you deserve in this lifetime, and even hold you back from having meaningful, impactful relationships. Having a scarcity mindset leaves people with a deep-rooted fear of not having enough resources available for them. It can cause them to feel like they're in a constant state of fight or flight. You're not living your life when you're living in a scarcity mindset. You're not living, you're just surviving. When someone has a scarcity mindset, they're more focused on what they lack in life rather than being grateful for the things that they do have. They could get trapped into thinking there's only a limited amount of resources or a limited amount of money that they can make. And this can create a weird competitiveness inside of them. It can lead to them thinking that everybody's out to get them, paranoia, everyone is an enemy, and it's just bad vibes. People who have a scarcity mindset are less likely to take risks. And instead of finding ways to have their money work for them or diversify their income or invest intelligently, they are more likely to hoard their money and not make their money work for them in a way that's smart. And honestly, by doing that, they're just going to be losing money. And after doing this for a while, their mindset is fixed. They create sort of learned helplessness in themselves. And they don't think that they can change their life or change their income, and they just accept life for what it is, which is probably the worst part of all of this. It's not what we're born to do. Life is too beautiful and too precious and way too short to be living paycheck to paycheck, to be stressed about money, not living your life. Our time here is so limited, and your time here should not be spent ruminating about money concerns or believing that you can't have everything that you've ever dreamed of. And yes, it will take hard work, but nothing worth having comes easy. I believe that you can achieve anything that you push your mind to, no matter what your situation is or where you're at in life. First, you're going to have to recognize it. Everybody is born with limiting beliefs and things that their parents put into them that may or may not be true. I want you to think about how your parents view money. Think about any influence in your life and look at how they view money. Did your parents come from living paycheck to paycheck? Unfortunately, that's a common thing in America. In fact, 60% of people in America live paycheck to paycheck. Not only that, pay attention to how you talk about money. For example, there's only so much to go around, or I can only get so high in my company, I can only get so many hours, or throw all that out the window. And stop saying that you're broke and can't afford anything. That's a big no-no. Even if that's the case, there are power in your words. Yeah, we're not going to pay attention to my little flyaways today. It's fine. And not only that, pay attention to what your peers are saying, or your friends, your family, things like that. Now, I'm not saying to drop your friends if they have a scarcity mindset, but I'm just kidding. Don't drop them. Maybe you can actually help them by asking why they think that way instead of saying you're wrong for thinking that way or, oh, you have a scarcity mindset. Don't do that. We're not those people. Actually, I had something like this happen recently with one of my girlfriends. And she was talking about how she doesn't have money and she's not happy with her job, but it's not even worth getting a promotion because even they don't make more than her. All I did was ask why. Just ask why, maybe open up the doors, because I could tell that she's had this thought pattern and she goes down this road and this train of thought many times a day. So instead of calling her out and saying, hey, you need a new job, how about we just ask why? That if you were to get promoted, you wouldn't be getting more. Wouldn't you have more responsibilities? Just open their thoughts to it. Or maybe try to find out why they have a scarcity mindset in the first place and why their parents think this way about money, and maybe that they have a similar point of view because it was ingrained into them. All I'm saying is try to get your peers on the same level with you, and definitely don't be accusatory, because that's not a good friend. Don't do that here. Okay? Okay? We don't do that here. And the second tip for developing an abundance mindset rather than having a scarcity mindset is to practice gratitude. And I feel like I have mentioned gratitude in many of my videos because it is so important. And it is really life-changing and worth it. I'll make it easy for you. The fact that you have access to this sort of technology and education, you have a phone, you have a laptop, you have a TV, however you're watching it, you have access to that. Meaning that you have access to education, skills, and most people in the world do not have that. In fact, we're really lucky to be living in a country where we can have a job and get payment in return. Just to put it into perspective, there's 648 million people in the world who live off of less than $2.15 per day. Now, I'm not saying to start spreading toxic positivity, because we're not that either. And trust me, I know America is not perfect. It definitely has its problems. But the fact that we're able to have jobs and have roofs over our heads and have access to education and technology, we are very blessed. So make sure to take a moment in your day to appreciate the little things that we may overlook on a day-to-day basis that other people don't have, and the things that we take for granted, because they would be life-changing to people in different countries. There are so many people out there who don't have what you do. So my third tip to develop an abundance mindset is to practice visualization. And I'm not saying, oh, you're going to manifest more money, you're going to manifest it. But listen, there is power in intention. And energy goes where attention flows. I think that's it. Is that how it goes? I don't know. And once you're more conscious about what your financial goals are, you're more likely to achieve them because you're going to be putting energy into it. So I urge you, think about the house you want to live in. Think about where you want to live, if you want to be on a beach, if you want to be in mountains. Think about what car you want to drive, what city you want to live in, or country, whatever. Think about it. Put energy behind it and intention. Think about what your day-to-day would look like and how you'd want it to look. This actually helps to rewire your brain to focus on possibilities and opportunities rather than being stuck in a learned helplessness mindset. But just by visualizing your financial future is not going to change a scarcity mindset into an abundance mindset overnight. Just like anything in life, you're going to have to work hard, take action, and be proactive. Take active steps towards improving your financial situation, such as bringing down debt, try to make more money, start a side hustle, seek out opportunities, learn new skills, try Skillshare. I have a Skillshare and I love it, but there's also YouTube. There's so many opportunities out there. My fourth tip for developing an abundance mindset is to drop your ego and leave your guilt behind. Hot take. But every time I've budgeted, I've actually felt so poor and had to limit myself on so many things. And honestly, I just felt more depressed after. Every time that I would go outside my spending limits, which isn't often, I ended up having a guilty conscience for not only days, but sometimes weeks. I would ruminate over this one experience or this one thing that I bought and would have buyer's remorse and guilt myself for days on end, and that is just not helpful at all. So instead of budgeting or limiting myself, I just track where my money goes and what comes in and what goes out. And I track everything. And I could see last month's spending versus this month. And honestly, I did so much better this way because once I stopped putting limits and parameters on spending, I tend to rebel way less. I don't do well with rules or constraints. And since I've allowed myself some freedom, I've been perfect. Not perfect, but I've been a lot better. So yes, this might be controversial, but I am all for splurging on something if it is reasonable, if it's not going to set you back a ton, and if it is helpful. You deserve it. And especially if it's going to improve your quality of life. Come on. But be reasonable because only you know what that means. And if you don't, then I highly suggest hiring a CPA or learning some financial literacy, which leads me to my last point. If you want to leave a scarcity mindset, then you need to develop some sort of financial literacy or get some sort of financial education. And I'm not saying go back to school and be an accountant, but I started with just reading Rich Dad, Poor Dad, which I talked about in one of my videos about life-changing books, which I'll leave up above. And hot take, it's even more important to have financial literacy if you're a woman. And of course, it's important for men too. I'm definitely not going to argue that. But there have been so many instances in my life where I have seen the men take all financial control of the money and the woman not having any idea of where the money is going. And so many times I've seen it just backfire. And like I said, I'm definitely not an expert, but I highly recommend just starting out by reading Rich Dad Poor Dad, whether it's on Audible or the physical copy. That's where I started my financial journey. And I also follow a lot of YouTube channels and listen to podcasts, and I subscribe to multiple newsletter email lists. Email newsletter lists? Yeah, email newsletters. Why was that so hard? But yeah, I surround myself with things like this, and it doesn't come overnight, and it's still a little complicated for me, and there's a lot of things that I don't understand, but I understand way more now than I did a year ago. But also just keep in mind that this is not an overnight fix. You are not gonna wake up one day and be like, oh, I have an abundance mindset now, everything's all fairy and beautiful and gorgeous outside, and my financial problems are gone. No, I have been working on this for about 8 months, and I'm just now starting to see some pretty good results. Once you do develop an abundance mindset, you will be able to see the shift in how you act, how you feel, the types of relationships you have, and it will be life-changing. And it's going to be hard, but I know that you can do it. So if you've made it this far, thank you so much. Please feel free to subscribe and drop a like, and I'll leave a really cute animal right here to thank you for doing those things. Adorable, right? Thank you again, and I will see you next week. Bye.